Hello my soccer universe. This was the week of WTF. Sorry for borrowing the title from Metallica, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, but this describes it perfectly. I could do 2 rants here in this video alone. Probably more, I'm not gonna do it. I could of course make another Milan rant. They added some stuff that I could boil on, not going really fully into it, but also the overall performance of Italian teams, especially in the Champions League. I mean, WTF. Then add to it what happened on this weekend. I mean, not only Milan hit the self-destruct button, when everything was going so much in their favor, and you blow it in the most ridiculous way again, but also Napoli self-destructed, and while Udinese won, I think their team also self-destructed. We'll talk about that one when we review that game. One of the most incredible scenes that I've ever seen. First, I want to talk about Serie A. At the moment, this title race, yes, Inter is now ahead. This title race seems to be run at a snail's pace. There is no good team. Whoever will win the title will be the best of a really bad bunch. And I've said it all along. To me, Inter have to be considered the favorites. However, Inter looks so unconvincing. At least they get here and there the wins. Napoli, ever since beating Juventus, are going down the hill. They guess an equalizer against Roma away from home set them off, and Napoli even cannot keep a clean sheet at the moment. They're going down and they're pulling Atalanta back in. An Atalanta team that just a couple of weeks ago I said they're not going back into the title race, but Atalanta themselves made a shitstorm. Gasparini, out of nowhere, blaming his star player Lucca that he's the worst penalty taker, not even knowing that Lucca was asked to take that penalty. Lucca responded with class, but then Gasparini hit the other self-destruct button. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stay much longer at this club. He's not gonna extend his contract. He might end at the end of this season, which is another thing. Yeah, that came a little bit out of nowhere. What's going on? Serie A, the way that they are, at least this season, there is no team that is really good. But this is a trend I see all over Europe. So it's a rather weird moment. But Serie A is really putting itself under a whole lot of trouble as well. Because you cannot lose to Eredivisie or Belgian league teams. You just cannot do that. You should aspire for better. And to me, the biggest flaw of Serie A, no, it's not the stadiums. The stadiums is a situation that needs to be addressed. And there are many things that need to be addressed within the league. However, it's the squad building. When did Serie A become a league for getting scraps from the Premier League or from other big teams? And while this can be a great tool to augment your squad, and I actually have to blame Mourinho for that, for getting Tammy Abraham and Smalling to Roma, who did so well that now everyone wants to gather some players from the Premier League, and Milan is now the first example, and some of them were good, some of them are bad. Yet just, those are castaways from a bigger league. If you want to be a big league, and financially you aren't, then you need to be smart. And also, the one thing that really bugs me is I see a severe lack of Italian talent as well. And again, Milan takes the top of the heap there. Because Milan barely have any Italian players in their squad, which makes it really hard to identify with the squad, and so the fan base is really up in arms. And let's go to Milan now. I mean, WTF? I knew we're not gonna win at Torino, but in that fashion, they conceded the most comical own goal after the one that Lazio conceded against Napoli at home. I mean, that one was even worse. But this one was so self-inflicted. I mean, Torino didn't have a shot on goal in the first half, yet they lead 1-0. This is so Milan. There is something really wrong with the squad. The squad reminds me a whole lot about Manchester United. In the sense that this is a squad of highly talented players that for some reason or another cannot get it together. Here and there they put in really great performances. See Supercopa, see Real Madrid, see the first derby. They can play really well. But they are not consistent. They have a lackadaisical attitude. And especially the big stars like Theo Hernandez, who wants to get a new country, completely spaced out. And now it also hits a player that I was really high on in Mike Maignan, who has been making errors. And I have not mentioning it in my videos because I really didn't want to pile on him. The goals Mike Maignan is conceding at the moment, it looks not good. At this moment, I think Milan should get rid of him or get him a mental coach or whatsoever and bring in maybe a Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, who was playing out of his mind against Milan. He's the best goalkeeper in Serie A this season, at the very least. And then it also goes on top, I mean, the squad, poorly built, but also the management is an absolute mess. And I love Zlatan, but he is not a figurehead for a club. He cannot lead like, for instance, a Maldini did. Maldini has a natural charisma that does not rely on bullying. But Zlatan is just a big bully, very arrogant and so on. And the Curva Sud hit at him for that. And yeah, the results were seen on the pitch. I think modern players don't necessarily respond to that as well. So long opener, I would say let's keep the rest a little bit shorter because, it's just a mess. On Friday evening, Udinese won their game at Lecce in the most ridiculous fashion imaginable. It was a 1-0 win thanks to a Lucca penalty. However, everything leading up to that was just absolutely horrific. First of all, the penalty was one of those that we really can argue, should this be a penalty? It was a hand to the face by fanning off a defender, yeah. But then the penalty taker is Thauvin for Udinese, but it's Lorenzo Lucca who takes the ball and wants to take the penalty. And all his teammates are around him and say, it is not yours. The penalty has to go to Thauvin. They are talking to him. This takes 2-3 minutes. Lorenzo Lucca is then even booked for delaying the game, but in the end he takes the penalty. He converts it in, admittedly, really emphatic fashion. It was a great penalty. But then no one is celebrating with him, and he's taken off just a couple of minutes later. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. You have a penalty. Don't go against coach's order. Look at Milan and the mess that they are in. But yeah, huge win for Udinese, but I'm worried about the team spirit. Parma move out of the relegation zones thanks to a 2-0 win over Bologna in the Emilian Derby, a game where they really hit Bologna on the counter-attack. Bologna had most of the possession, most of the actions, however, it was Parma that were clinically take lead through a Boni penalty in the 37th minute, and the second goal comes through Sohm after a Man assist. At the same time, another Champions League hopeful, Lazio, play a rather drab game, a 0-0 draw at Venezia, a game that actually Venezia probably should have won. They had more of the chances in the second half especially. What the actual F was that? After being eliminated by Feyenoord in the most embarrassing fashion, you were hoping that Milan, in their chase for a top 4 spot, will put in a performance and show that we are better than that. And then Mike Maignan wants to clear a long ball through Malik Thiaw in the 5th minute, and Torino take the lead without doing anything for that. Absolute mad on goal. Absolute mad on goal. Gets me so boiling, and this is again Mike Maignan not being up to snuff. He has shown quite a few weaknesses, let in a few bad goals, but even some of his saves don't look convincing at this very moment. And yes, Thiaw maybe should not be in that position, but clear it somehow else. Pull it in touch if you would like. Crazy. To the credit though, and I know this is the teeniest of silver linings, Milan actually were better and played not badly. They even got a penalty. The Pulisic took well, but Vanja Milinkovic-Savic was just out of his mind on this day, made some really great saves, I think especially one on Jimenez. But there were a couple of more, and also I question a little bit the tactics. I mean, this guy is so tall, why do you put in crosses? He could just pluck them out of the air. The penalty for Pulisic, yes, it hurts that he misses one. He never has missed one in a professional game that counted for points. But that was really Milinkovic-Savic making a great save. Second half, a little bit more. And again, Leao had to come off. Fofana came on. I really am questioning the lineup that Conceição is putting out. I mean, the so-called Fab Four, and don't call them the Fab Four. They're not fabulous at the moment. They were fabulous for a little bit against the Roma in the Coppa. They're not the Fab Four. But the four up front, there are two at least that are not working hard. hard. And it also forces Tijani Reinders in a more defensive position, which takes all his strengths away. And he was, next to Pulisic, the best player this season for Milan. So I don't get this lineup. Joao Felice is seemingly protected by the coach. He always has to play. I think he should be brought on as the cherry on top. So Leao comes off, Fana comes on, a little bit more solidity in the midfield, and Tammy Abraham comes on for Musa because we need to attack a little bit more. The game management by Conceição also not that great. However, Milan get themselves into a game. They thought they had a few times to equalize again. Milinkovic-Savic, great saves. Tijani Reinders finally in 74th minute breaks it down. You think, yes, now we can go for the win. And then free kick given in midfield. Joao is again discussing with the referee. And Sanabria very quickly plays it to Gineitis, who puts it with a great shot into the long corner. What's really galling there is that Gineitis would have been offside if it wasn't for Theo Hernandez standing at the goal line, wondering what to do. He is so switched off, he shouldn't play. However, there are no alternatives. Absolutely gutting loss again for Milan. You can say goodbye to top 4. And there will be no Champions League at least until 2026. In the evening, Inter were anything but convincing. However, they get a 1-0 lead over Genoa, a super solid Genoa side that probably would have deserved a point out this one. Inter showed almost nothing. However, in the second half, they had a couple of chances, and then Lautaro Martinez, after a Çalhanoğlu assist, gets the winner, was celebrating like he had just won the World Cup, which is funny because he has won the World Cup, but it tells you how bad Inter were and how much they needed these 3 points. They sit now top of the table. Napoli also have clearly hit the skids. It was always going to be a hard away game at Como. However, the way you gifted Como the opening goal was just ridiculous. It was Milan-like. It was Rahmani playing a ball back to Meret, who is off his goal. He doesn't even see where he is. Goes straight into the net. Como, without having to do anything, lead 1-0. To the credit though, Napoli did not play badly in the first half, got an equalizer through Raspadori, although this was also a defensive blunder by Como. However, nothing in the second half. This Napoli team is completely gassed, has no alternatives on the bench. How Conte is still somewhat calm is a little bit beyond me. In the end, it's Nico Paz and Joao that get the winning goal for Como for a deserved win. Weird jersey matchup though. Como in black against Napoli in white. A goal by Bernet deep in stoppage time give Hellas Verona a very surprising 1-0 win over Fiorentina. However, the big story out of that game was Moise Kean, who got a bad knock with the knee against his head. He didn't look right at all, even a little bit swollen. However, he was cleared to stay on before he collapsed and had to be taken off. It is a concussion. Hope there's no permanent damage from that. But why Fiorentina doctors are clearing him when clearly Fiorentina should be on alert whenever something medically happens. Meanwhile, Atalanta demonstrate how you respond to a gutting exit from the Champions League. You go to Empoli and you beat them 5-0, and on top of that, Ademola Lookman pulled it up his chin, all the criticism coming from the coach, and scored 2 in the process, also being boosted by the fans' response to the criticism by Gasparini. Retegui also gets on scoring sheet. He will be the capocannoniere. Didn't help, of course, Empoli, that the Jazi own goal allowed Atalanta to go ahead, but then it was all Atalanta who might put themselves back into a title race. With all the results falling their way, Juve take a huge step towards Champions League next season, responding also to their shock exit to PSV. Juve fans all around the world are probably aghast at how poor the Juve are usually playing offensively. However, they do one thing that the opposition is not doing. If you're playing badly, you at least stay relatively tight and you're not losing all that much. And so, this time at Cagliari, they showed at least a relatively good first half, took the lead in 12th minute through Vlahovic. It's also positive news, so there's not only Colomiani putting in the goals, and in the end you see it out. Important 3 points. Top 4 more or less guaranteed. And on Monday evening, Roma put themselves fully back into contention for a European place, beating last place Monza, a team that's more or less down out 4-0. It was one-way traffic all around. Salamakers opens the scoring in the 10th minute. Schumarola 32nd doubles it up, and then 2 late goals by Angelino, who has been a fan favorite as of late, and then even Cristante heading it after the Dybala cross. Roma looking really solid under Ranieri, probably the informed team in the league at this moment. So let's look at the situation in the table. Up top, we are back to a three-way title race, and honestly, Juve is not that far off. I mean, only 8 points off Inter, and Juve are the informed team, having won now 4 in a row without playing well. I mean, occasionally well. Second half against Inter, and I think they played well in the first half against Cagliari too. Then we have the race for the Champions League, although I think Juve have sewn that up already. I think it's the 4 that we have will be the 4 in the Champions League, unless Napoli completely crash out of it, which is not unlikely because, you know, this is a really bad team at the moment. And they don't have the alternatives off the bench. That Conte hasn't exploded yet. Well, I guess he's waiting for the next weekend. But should there be a Champions League dash? Lazio, Juve, only 2 points apart. Fiorentina, I think, are off the board at the moment. And then Bologna and Milan have the big makeup game in the midweek. Should any one of these win, then they might have a slim chance. I don't quite see it. However, I also don't count Roma fully out yet. But again, Juve in a really comfortable position. This round was going all swimmingly for them. On the bottom, Parma are out, rather surprisingly.
Empoli,
After a really good start to the season, have completely fallen off. I think Taversa is in for the job. Venezia cannot pick up the points, or cannot pick up enough points despite not playing too badly. And Monza is more or less a Serie B team already. In the midweek, we have 2 cup games, and I will probably do a short review video on what happens in the midweek. We have Inter against Lazio, hosting at home. That's a big one. The winner of this one will play against Milan, and then Juve against Empoli. That should be a foregone conclusion the way Empoli are going, and Juventus will play Bologna. Should they move on, I cannot see anything but that. But we also have another huge game in the midweek, which is, of course, the makeup game for the one that was postponed in October, where Bologna take on Milan. However, I personally don't see Milan winning this one. They have been disappointing me, but Bologna also have a little bit, with that loss to Parma, hit the skids. But this Bologna team, I trust more than this Milan team. So that was it from an absolutely horrific week from my perspective. Not only did Milan squander more or less their chances of finishing top 4, not only by losing to Torino, but also what the Italian teams did in the midweek. I mean, there's no chance for a 5th spot now. This will go to Spain, and now you have to live with that one. Part of me says Milan should actually completely blow it all up now and finish outside the European spots, although for reputation is probably also not that good. I hear a new sporting director is coming. But also, I really would like to not have Inter win the title again, but that didn't go well. They played horribly, but Napoli even worse. Atalanta might get in there, a little bit hope, but Atalanta is also on the way to self-destruct. And please don't let Juventus in, because if Juventus win a title, they might win a bunch of them in a row. Horrible week. In any case, if you're a Juve and Inter fan, congratulations to you. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Drop a line below what you thought about this Serie A week. Again, horrific week from my perspective, but also for Serie A in general. And yes, I will talk to you soon about more things in my Serie A universe. Bye! Hey there! I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!